that is observing the armies or Sainya Darshan. And today we take up the verse 10. So let us chant the verse together. It's an interesting verse. And then we'll try to discuss a little bit. So, aparyaptam tad asmakam
Aparyaptam tadasmakam
balam bhishma virakshitam
balam bhisma virakshitam
paryaptvam tvide tesham
paryaptam tvidame tesham
balam bhima virakshitam
balam bhima virakshitam
paryaptam tad asmakam
paryaptam tadasmakam
balam bhima virakshitam
balam bhisma virakshitam
balam bhishma virakshitam sorry paryaptvam tvide tesham
paryaptam tvidame tesham
balam bhima virakshitam.
balam bhima virakshitam.
Is that anybody wants to chant?
Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhisma virakshitam paryaptam tudame tesham balam bhima virakshitam.
पर्यातं तत् स्माकं बलं भीष्मविरक्षितं पर्याप्तं त्विदमे तेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितम्.
Okay, so we read translation and our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of Pandavas carefully protected by Bhima is limited. Purport. Herein, an estimation of comparative strength is made by Duryodhana. He thinks that the strength of his armed forces is immeasurable, being specifically protected by most experienced general grandfather Bhishma. On the other hand, the forces of Pandavas are limited, being protected by less experienced general Bhima, who is like a fig in the presence of Bhishma. Duryodhana was always envious of Bhima because he knew perfectly well that if he should die at all, he would only be killed by Bhima. But at the same time, he was confident of his victory on account of the presence of Bhishma, who was a far superior general. His conclusion that he would come out of battle victorious was well ascertained. So I was checking this because this paryaptam and aparyaptam, this word has two meanings. So I was checking the dictionary in Sanskrit. So it has different meanings, like, uh, but the meaning that Srila Prabhupada has given is immeasurable. So paryapta meaning here is taken as limited, or paryapta means limited, and aparyapta means unlimited. So this is one of the meaning, okay, of this word. But there is another meaning of this word. So Acharya like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur takes that meaning, and there is another interpretation of this particular verse. So the another meaning of paryapta is sufficient or suitable or enough. So when we say my qualification is just enough for the requirement, this sentence is not actually means limited for this job, but it means my the qualification required is just enough that I may be considered for this post. So this is one of the meaning. Another meaning is I have my wealth is paryaptam or aparyaptam, my wealth is unlimited. Similarly, here, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned Duryodhan's sentence. This externally, if we see, he's saying that aparyaptam means his army is immeasurable. Because, yeah, Kaurava's army, as respect to number of the soldiers, was quite bigger than the army of Pandavas. So, in the comparative spirit, yeah, Kaurava's army was immeasurable, and Pandava's army was paryaptam. Right? And also the second line, Balam Bhishma Bhirakshitam. So Kauravas had their commander as Bhishma Dev, the most senior of Kaurav and Pandavas, and who has experience of lot of wars, and he has won so many wars under his leadership, and he has seen the world. So from that angle, the most experienced and most heroic person was commander of Kaurav Sena, and also the aparyaptam, immeasurable strength. But he's comparing the Pandava strength as limited. It's not immeasurable, it's measurable. And so it's a limited strength, in other words. And he's comparing actually with Bhima. But the commander of Pandav Sena is actually Drushtadumna. So if he's comparing the commander in charge of the army, then he should have compared Bhishma and um, Drushtadumna. But he's not doing that. He's comparing with Bhima because of the consciousness that Duryodhan has. Because in his consciousness, or from his childhood, he has great enormity or great rivalry against Bhima. So he always tried to defeat Bhima or kill Bhima in from the childhood, and he knew that the only person who can beat me or who can kill me is Bhima in the mace fighting. So they both were the top of the mace fighters, and Duryodhan knew that Bhima can kill me, though he don't have much experience or intelligence wise on the fighting, but he knew that Bhima uh, is has capacity to kill me. So his consciousness is filled with Bhima rather than others. So when he was explaining to Duryodhan about the Pandav Sena, he also used Bhima Arjuna. First he used, he's in the fourth shloka, he said first he mentioned Bhima because his consciousness was fully occupied by Bhima. So whatever happened, he will first think of Bhima. So that's why he's comparing here with Bhima. He should have done with Rushtadumna, but that's how the externally we all are working, right? So whatever our consciousness is filled up with, that thing comes out of our mouth also. So this Duryodhan also, though he was a good politician, good speaker, but his consciousness, because it was filled with Bhima, he's speaking also always first of Bhima. So we can also judge or we can also observe what we do throughout the day, and if we are really supposed to remember Krishna or remember the Supreme Lord, are is our consciousness completely filled with those thoughts, or we are continuously speaking of somebody or someone or some incident or some situation, or how I am suffering or how you are suffering, or so our consciousness, our external behavior actually represents what is in our consciousness or in subconsciousness. So that is also indication that helps us to revive our consciousness, right? So if we are speaking in some way which is not expected to be, considering this bhakti or devotional practice, then we have to look at what is exactly the problem. So that is one of the learning from this shloka. And there is another meaning of this paryapta I was saying, that just sufficient or enough. Uh, Apart from this limited, is another meaning sufficient. Like I gave the example of qualification, right? So here the another way of looking at this is Pandav Sena is paryaptam. They are just sufficient for what? For victory or as a preparation for the war. But Kaurav Sena is aparyaptam. So they are not prepared enough, or they are uh, not 100%, you can say, for the war. So there is a why it is like that, because one of the reason is, though Bhishma is the most experienced general or commander of the Kaurav Sena in both the armies, but Bhishma had soft corner for Pandav also, right? So he liked Arjuna very much, he liked Bhima very much, he liked Yudhishthir very much as Dharmaraj. So if we say from the preparation, for the internal preparation for the war or fight in the war, the Bhishma's preparation is may not be 100%, because he has affection for both the parties, right? But if we say from the Bhima side or Pandava side, Bhima was completely prepared for the war, because when right from the incident of Draupadi's insult, from there only Bhima was very angry on Kauravas, and he has taken vow to kill Duryodhan and Dushasan in the same assembly, right? So he was 100% into this war, that he want to have this war, and he want to complete his vow that he has promised to Draupadi. So he was 100% internally and prepared. So that way, their preparation by Bhima is paryaptam. So they are sufficiently internally prepared, and they will be 100% into the war. But Kaurav Sena is not, because Bhishma is also affectionate, and because of that, it impacts. If the commander is in that state, then indirectly or directly, the other army also goes into that state. So this verse has two different waves to see externally and internally how the feeling of Duryodhan is. So Duryodhan knows that our army is very huge in number, or we cannot measure it. Externally, Pandava's army is limited, but he also knew that internally Pandavas are more strongly prepared than Kaurava. So this is a comparative measurement, right? He's doing in this verse, and that represents how Duryodhan is also feeling before the start. Though he's talking very um, give motivation to Dronacharya and other warriors, but also this and the last verse also, there was slip of tongue, right? That he said that all the generals have given up their life for me, and now he's way he put this verse. Uh, it has two meanings. So we can also, with these words, actually, in our day-to-day life or in our practice of anything, not only bhakti, but anything that we practice, we can judge if we are 100% into it. Because if you are 100%, then the result is sure to come. And in this spiritual practice also, uh, we can see that we are not always 100%. We are always less than what is required or what is necessary. In the office work, maybe we are 100% considering the remuneration or the salary part or the fear factor. But spiritual practice is a volunteer thing that we choose. But if we say the goal of the life is to recognize or to self realization, then we should be 100% in this area also, so that the results will become. And so Duryodhana, this verse shows that if we give 100%, then anybody can understand, and of course you will be the first who understand what is the result is coming to be. So means you can read these words again and try to see how it in, applicable to our day-to-day life, and also we can refine our consciousness. uh, Generally we have to remember of the God, remember the Supreme Lord continuously, but we can notice that at many times we are bound or we are lost in the thoughts of so many other things which are not actually necessary as compared to the ultimate goal of bhakti. So this verse is very interesting for day-to-day application also. So those are the few points that I was reading in different commentaries and hearing. So if anybody has any other uh, points that we can learn from this verse that will help us and anyone, please feel free to share.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The meaning was very nicely explained. Aparyaptam, paryaptam. Actually, it happens in our life also whenever we have overconfidence. Like,
Mm,
I mean, we are limited. Krishna is unlimited in anything, but we may have overconfidence. It's not all the time. Whenever we take a hasty decision,
mm,
or I don't know something, not in normal time. Normal time, of course, we will think Krishna. Everything has to go fine. Krishna, you are the one. Something we will make it. Whenever it happens, not normal situation. Whenever the things happens in hasty manner,
mm,
the result will be bad. That time we will realize, oh, this is what we went wrong.
right.
We have to accept that our power is our power is limited. We
Mm,
should depend on Krishna. He is unlimited. He will help us.
yeah, very good point, Mataji. So
This is my realization.
correct. So, this is very important because now when we are discussing Bhagavad Gita, okay, we understand Paryaptam, Aparyaptam, and all these logics and intelligence. But when the situation comes, and when the situation comes to apply this teaching, it becomes very difficult. Right? We get lost in the situation. So,
Yes.
so that's why reading Bhagavad Gita every day helps to keep our consciousness in alert mode, and that helps us actually. That helps me also when we are reading this every evening. So that helps that okay, I am limited. That we have to remember somehow or other. So this daily practice, that's why sadhana is most important. So the more we practice, the more the habit we get used to involve Krishna or Supreme Lord in all the decision making in any situation. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice point.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. धन्यवाद प्रभु।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for joining.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.